Hello, hello, hello. This is Tooth Be Told. This is Dr. Walter Aka.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Kwanzaa,
Okay,
whatever,
it's gonna take too long. All right, just stop being politically correct and just say happy
whatever,
holidays.
whatever your jam is.
That's it.
We wish you well.
That's it. Yeah, just say happy holidays. It saves you time, you know. But I want to kind of clear the air real quick. I know you
Okay.
had come to me saying that people were concerned, thinking that we had basically gotten into a big argument or something happened where the podcast was going their own separate way. And then I also recorded, I think it was maybe one or two episodes without
Right.
you. I didn't realize that people were so invested in our relationship. So I appreciate
Hey,
that.
hey, yeah, I had three different texts over like the last month and a half. Are you guys okay? Did you get kicked off the podcast? I was like, yo, what?
People don't realize that the last episode was just me going on a rant at like
Yes.
9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. You know, it was just like it was one of those days where nothing was going right. And then on
Mm.
top of it, I'm talking to an associate at that office, and she's going on a rant talking about I'm leaving and she's leaving and she's quitting because she didn't feel like she was mentored properly and so forth. And I was
That's
like,
where that came from.
yes.
Okay,
And I
okay.
was like, well, what did you expect? And she's like, well, I expected the owner doctor to mentor me and to teach me the ways. And I was like, you do realize that most people hire you so that they don't have to work any harder than they already are. Like that was kind of like the crux of the whole situation. So I was
Mm.
explaining this, and I was like, you know what? Let me just go on here and just rant. So it was a
Because
long
you
rant.
you was going off. I had to
Yeah.
when I looked at how long it was, I had to put it in 1.5 speed because it's like, all right, I want to listen to my man, but I ain't got all day.
Yeah. But I just think that people are disillusioned by what dentistry is supposed to give them. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I think they make dentistry their whole life. And Howard Ferran actually said that. He
Mhm.
basically, I think he went on a rant, I want a year or two ago, about how dentistry is not supposed to basically represent you.
Right.
It's your job. It's not who you are, you know? And I think a lot of people make it personal and make it who they are. And I
Right.
just think that's silly, you know?
Well, I think I don't know. I think when you're a student for what, 8 years after high school, and then you're in practice the majority of your time that you're awake, I think it's hard to let go of that persona because it
Hmm.
becomes you. And that's something I think I've struggled with at times where it's like, you come home, you have to switch hats.
Right,
At work, I'm a doctor, I'm a leader of a team, I'm a boss, I'm a
right.
decision maker. Then you gotta, in other parts of your life, take that hat off. And now I'm just Joe Schmo that's, gonna stop by and get groceries and change diapers
Well,
and,
that's called life. Like no one besides dentists, give me another profession where they feel like they are that representation of it. Like construction workers don't say, "I'm just going to go and keep building houses the rest of the day." Like no one, no one does that. You know, what I mean? Like think about that. Think about when was the last time garbage man just started just randomly picking up garbage after they got done with work?
to a degree, I agree with you, but I would say that a lot of people that I know that are in construction or carpenters, like their hobbies tend to be building stuff. I'm gonna build a
Okay,
deck this weekend. I'm gonna pave the driveway,
right. But they're not.
But
That's a hobby. But that means that they actually enjoy it and want to keep doing it.
right, it's not a
People like
persona.
we like to complain about it. You
Right,
know,
right,
no one told you to keep going.
right.
You chose to do that, and then you want to complain about it. That's my grief on this whole situation.
I think the disillusionment that you mentioned comes from your whole life. You're promised that
Mm,
if you do the right thing, you go to school, you become XYZ, right? Doctor, lawyer, engineer, that all of a sudden golden and red carpets are going to be laid in front of you and life is going to be easy and all the hard work is behind you, and it's really not how it is. It's just
mm,
you're still grinding. It just took you longer to get out of school to just start the grind that other people may have started earlier. And I think that's where people assume you walk out and they're like, oh, doctor, do you want a job? Here's $300,000. Here's But it's not like that. Like you're
right.
fishing for work. You're trying to establish yourself, and that's hard for a lot of people because they felt like they bought into a promise.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
you
if
know.
that's the case, then You know that corporate dentistry is growing.
Mm.
We know that private offices are selling to corporate. And here's something that I actually found out recently, and it's a podcast that you sent me, that a lot the biggest dental corporations has changed. They've changed their model. It used to be let's buy offices that have been established, and the dentist doesn't want to be the boss anymore, doesn't want to run the office anymore, so they sell it to the corporation.
Right.
Now the corporation has said, nope. What we're also going to do now is open brand new offices. And I want
Yeah.
you to break that down because this is, kind of our year in the review. So I want you to break that down and tell me what your thought process is to why you think the corporation is doing that, and why do you think that that's actually detrimental or beneficial to dentistry overall?
It's hard to say. I think what they're finding out is when you buy an office, you're buying a set of problems, right? Whether it's the staff, whatever culture there is, and it's hard to have some uniformity in your corporation when you're buying all these different cultured offices, right? Whereas if you start from scratch, you can institute your corporate culture from day one, right? And I think you have a better control of systems. So from maybe a business management standpoint on their behalf, it makes sense. And they're sitting on so much capital, they can afford to just lose money, right? And maybe that's what it is. Maybe they've acquired so much capital doing the traditional model of buying existing offices that now they're just like, all right, well, we've got the capital, we can afford to fund these offices for the first 1 or 2 years until they're profitable. Um, and it might end up being better for their bottom line, because it's easier to build an office out than to buy an existing office as far as how much you're spending. Um, so yeah, so I don't know. I think it's detrimental to the industry in general because it's squeezing all of us out, right? If someone know it's the Walmart model. Walmart opens and like 20 mom and pop businesses go, in the area go under because they can't compete. They can't compete with the marketing. They can't compete with the prices, the deals. I mean, how many times have you seen a whatever corporation you want to mention have ads where it's like, you know, free exam and x-rays or, exam and x-rays 19.99 and you get a free electric toothbrush. Like
Right.
most GPs, most private offices can't compete with that.
So here's a follow up to that. It's been known that a lot of these corporations have partnered up with private equity. And the funny thing with private equity is, and one of my good friends is actually works in the private equity industry, and he basically told me the key to it is you buy, you build out, and then you sell as quick as possible to another private equity. And that's when they make their money. So they basically buy anything, any asset, and for this, it's a dental corporation, okay? And then they basically implement systems that will allow them to grow this entity as fast as possible. And then they
Right.
sell it to another private equity. And here's the funny thing, the biggest dental corporation sold 51% of their shares or stake to a private equity. Okay, this is
Mm.
actually publicly known. And now this private equity has majority ownership and is growing as fast as possible to the point where around where I live, there are three within I want to say less than a 5 mile radius of each other. And these are brand new offices. I'm not talking about they bought an office. No, these are brand new offices. On top of that, there are other offices around it. So what you said is actually true. I think that what they're doing is just squeezing everybody out. And then they basically saying, cool, now that we've squeezed everybody out, we can shut down one office, two offices, it doesn't really matter. And we'll keep the one that's more productive.
Right.
But here, I want to ask you a question. By doing that, how do you think that works for new associates that are coming out of school? Do you think they're going to get paid more or less? Do you think they're going to collect more or less based on now that the fact that corporations are increasing in their power pretty much?
Well, I think we need to get rid of the fallacy, first of all, that any business, whether it's corporate or private, has as a mission to pay you more, right? Like let's be real about it, right? I felt like I was a altruistic, caring boss when I owned my offices. I never looked actively for opportunities to pay someone more without something in return, right?
Right.
And so, um, obviously, I think the bottom line is the more market share that they have, the more they're going to control those systems. And if you can get somebody for less, you're going to get somebody for less, honestly. I think what's alarming is that almost like we saw with the housing market crash in 2008 in the dental industry, I've actually been approached by companies where they are offering private equity buyouts via IOUs, right?
Explain that.
So so you a company comes and convinces you to sell them a portion of your office, right? But on a not as a cash deal or as a finance deal, basically saying that I, as this corporation, am going to make this deal with, say, 50 offices. I'll be a controlling partner or equal partner in 50 offices. And then we will go public or we will sell this corporation. And when we sell, that's when everybody cashes out. So you're essentially writing over X percentage of your office on the basis of an IOU that then they will be able to present this as some type of package to be sold to a bigger private equity or whatever. And I'm just like, we're trying to create value out of thin air, right? And when you hear these people talk, it's very engaging. They're very smart. And they always tell you, like, oh, the math works. Don't worry about it. We can show you the math. We can show you this. We've done the
Right.
research. But you're literally telling me you want me to sign over the majority of my office for nothing on the promise that you'll sell all these offices and I'll cash out down the road. You know what I mean? So
No, I hear you.
that's the point that we've come to. And I think with private equity coming in, it's we're trying to flip value and pretend it's worth more until one day obviously it crashes and everybody loses. But they've already really cashed out and
They will
sold.
they will always win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
So with that being said, I think we look at the corporation as the boogeyman. But the funny thing is, a lot of dentists are now trying to mimic and replicate in 2024. I saw a lot more openly thought process about becoming corporate, right? Building multiple offices and so forth. And one thing that they talked about, and this has been happening for a long time. You and I know this because we've done this before, but bringing specialty into the office. Now, the question I have for you is you've gone and worked in private offices where the dentist wanted to bring in a specialist and so forth. What is the one thing that these offices are not understanding about bringing in a specialist?
From my perspective,
That's
is
all you can
that
speak about.
yeah, it's for me, it's been difficult to walk in with the staff and the referring dentist or the general dentist on staff is not very well trained in how to identify specialty needs and how to
Wait, break that down.
prioritize.
Break that down. What does that mean?
So let's say someone has deep gum pockets. They got gum disease, right? They got bone loss, they got inflamed gums, and the general dentist has to be able to identify that beyond the deep cleaning to try and resolve the problem. If there's still residual deep gum pockets and still inflammation, that's when you would say bring a periodontist in.
Mhm.
Well, a lot of general dentists, and you've probably seen this, will just say, okay, well, let's do this crown and bridge, let's do this root canal, and you know, we'll just schedule a cleaning in 3 months and see what happens, right? So they'll ignore this portion of the patient's needs in order to prioritize the portion that makes them money, right? And it becomes this competition of, because they know that if we do it in the right sequence and take care of the foundational inflammation first and stabilize the patient, then do the major work, that postpones the money that they can make. That postpones the treatment that they can do. And where I've had the greatest success is where I've really got the general dentist to buy into this holistic health and assessment of the patient. And also realizing like, hey, we can still all make money. Let's do it right by the patient. Let's set this patient up for success. Let's set up your work, your crown and bridge for success by having, making sure you're not doing all this work on the foundation of inflammation and disease. You know what I mean? But that's been the hardest part for me is it's like it's a dog eat dog world out there. Everyone is fighting for scraps, you
Okay,
know?
well, with that being said, do you think that, okay, let me put it another way. If a dentist were to bring in, a general dentist were to bring in a specialist, what are some of the things that they are going to have to stop doing? For example, if you want to bring in an endodontist, you probably shouldn't be doing root canals anymore,
No.
right? If you're going to bring in a periodontist, you might want to stop doing extractions, socket preservation, implants, right? Because you want to give that to the specialist that you just brought in, right?
Right.
Do you find that a lot of dentists have a hard time understanding that?
Oh, absolutely. I've in a lot of the offices I've been in, they want to bring me for the hard stuff, right? Which usually means my schedule's not going to be full. I might be there and I might have like two or three consultations while they're doing a procedure that's within my specialty. They may or may not be doing it right. And I'm just sitting there like, what are you doing? Like, you brought me in. Like, you got to value my time. You know, this notion that for any procedure you have patients that are just lined up around the block waiting to get in is kind of false.
Mm.
It takes time to it takes time to build a healthy schedule, a
Mhm.
productive schedule that makes sense, that makes, we're better, we're faster, we're more efficient at it because that is our specialty. So wouldn't it make sense from a business perspective to also just feed our column, whether it's easier or hard, like I'm going to be better and more productive than you are. Otherwise, why am I here? You know? But they don't do it.
Right. So, with that being said, everybody wants their offices to succeed. Everybody wants their offices to grow, to increase revenue, make money. Point blank, period. I've seen a lot of YouTube, a lot of Instagram, a lot of Facebook, not only advertisement, but a lot of people that have high followers now want to tell dentists, buy my program. Let me be your mentor. You laugh. Let me be your mentor. Let me go ahead and teach you how to be successful. And to me, it almost sounds like, have you ever seen those remember when like NFTs and crypto was hot? Everybody was like, quick way to make $1 million. Let me show you how to flip the game on his head. Let me tell you what the white man's not telling you. That kind of
Right.
stuff. Like that's
Yeah.
basically the vibe I'm getting. Is basically how can I make you wealthy and because I'm wealthy, and then they'll come
Right.
out in like a Porsche, or they'll come out dressed up, and then I'm like, wow, they have that life.
Hmm.
So now my question is, I don't want to call them grifters or anything like that, but my question is, do you think these people are actually successful, or are they just online successful to try to get you to basically buy into their course? But by doing that will make them actually successful.
Right. Right. Everyone wants to be the Grant Cardone of
Right.
dentistry, right? Let me show you how to make $1 million a year. And you're just like,
And it's
well,
easy, by the way. It's so easy
yeah,
to
it's
do.
so easy. And my question is, well, if you can easily make $1 million, if I as a novice can come in with your program and make 1 million, I presume you're probably making 2 to 3 million. Which if you're doing that, why are you selling these courses,
Why are you
right?
telling me the secret?
Why are you
You
telling
don't.
me the secret?
I don't know many people that want competition, but you do. You're
But
so
yeah,
kind.
no, listen, it is absolutely a grift. And I tell you this much, why it works is because you only have to be more successful, appearing more successful than your non-dentists, if you're a dental guru, than your dental students, than your brand new grads, and then maybe that 10% of the lowest producers, So you don't really have to be successful compared to your general cohort. You just have to be more successful than, the people you're getting to buy your course, right? But you and me have been in the game long enough. We know some of these people, and we're like, well, everything you're saying is cap, and you saw me, I got into it a while back with
Oh,
this.
I saw.
I mean, listen. The thing is, there is money in this. You can
Mhm.
be successful in this. But if you're trying to convince me you're a great dentist by showing me your Porsche, if you're trying to convince me you're a great dentist by showing, claiming that you make $1, $2 million worth of income a year, but you don't show me any cases, right?
Okay.
To me, my eyebrow goes up. I'm like, wait a minute. How do I know you are what you say you are? I don't have a glossary of your work, right? Like one brother down in I think he's in Texas, Dwayne Bennett, very
Okay.
honest. You look at his page, work after work after work, case after case. I could tell you from what he's demonstrated, he's an amazing doctor.
Hmm.
But the brother, the sister that's driving the Porsche or that's taking pictures in their bikinis at the beach, can't tell you if they're a good doctor or not. They say they are.
All right.
But all I see you is in a bikini. All I see you is, driving your Porsche and telling me how much money you make. So I mean, who are they trying to attract?
Well,
Right?
okay. Well, then if I have a follow up, who is technically more successful? The person that knows how to sell themselves or the person that's really good at dentistry and does amazing work, right? Because if I look at just the totality of all the people that I know who have really successful offices and stuff, I can't tell you if they're really good dentists or not. I just know that they are very good at telling and selling themselves and selling what they could do for the patients.
Right.
They're very good marketers. They're very good. They're able to sell who they are and sell cases to people. And that has nothing to do with their work.
Mm.
Do you think that that's a good or bad situation? And do you also see the same thing?
I think you might have a point there.
Yeah.
Uh, because me personally, my bias is I'm more of a purist. I'm more about the profession,
Mhm.
the clinical ability of somebody, the science. So that's my bias, right? Other people might just look at this as just, hey, this is a way to build wealth
Right.
and to feed my family, to make money, which is great. I guess I can't judge it, right? That whole trend nowadays, we listen but we don't judge, right?
Okay.
You know, um, and I think what bothers me is we're dealing with human beings in the process of this business.
Hmm.
We're not just selling a product to a consumer. We are literally treating people and making decisions based on what appears to be this business mentality,
Hmm.
where I don't want the business mentality driving my healthcare decisions. And that's where I feel conflicted because I'd love to see my brothers and sisters doing well. If someone really does make $1 or $2 million a year, God bless them.
Hmm.
I'm for that. I want you to make that money. But if I get the sense that your desire for that money is driving your business decision or your clinical decisions, I have such a just a fundamental discomfort with that because we've all been on the end of whether it's the care we receive, our loved ones have received. I would hate to think that someone did a surgery, attempted a surgery or a treatment on me or my loved ones simply because it was a good business decision.
Okay.
That makes
Makes
sense?
sense. Well, but so with that being said, right, we look at everybody and we think, okay, so how would we tell the next generation what to do, right? If somebody came to you, a mentee came to you and said, "Hey, doc, what should I do to be successful in dentistry?" Would it be take a lot of dental courses, like learn how to do root canals, implants, the big high earning, third molar extractions, or would you say go into business school and learn how to run a business? What would you say?
Ooh. I guess I would ask them what their definition of success is.
We'll say money. In the
Is
end, they
money.
all want to live comfortably, pay off their student loans and so forth. So, which way would get you to be more successful? Taking all these courses or learning how to run a business?
Oh, business for sure. If money is the end goal, then business, marketing, um, contracts, like you have to learn the business side of it because you can't just be a good dentist, a good clinician, and rely on that to make you good money anymore. You could be the greatest doctor in the world. If no one knows about you, no one's coming, no one's knocking on the door. You could be the best surgeon in the world. If people don't know about it, if your systems aren't built to maximize your time, if you don't have the trained staff that can, present cases, convert cases, close cases, and all that, and if you're accounting, like absolutely hands down, take CE courses on business.
Right.
Um, Ultimately you got to back it up with work that stands the test of time to some degree, right? Otherwise you'll make short-term money and lose your pants in the back end, either redoing stuff for free or getting sued. But
Okay.
you
Well, with
know,
that being said, do you think that patients have learned to accept mediocrity when it comes to dentistry? Or have we as dentists accepted that we're just not as good anymore because again, the end goal seems to be money, right? Have we lowered the standard of care and have we lowered the standard of the quality of work for the drive and the sake to try to get money based on what you see, based on everything that you've seen?
I will say yes.
I
I
agree.
may burn a lot of bridges with this because patients want expediency
Hmm.
over quality.
Right.
They want flash and aesthetics
Hmm.
over function,
And
right?
longevity.
And longevity.
Yeah.
100%. I'm seeing people get veneers on diseased teeth, diseased gums. I have so many people that come to me with rampant periodontal disease, rampant caries, and all they want is, can I just do veneers in the front? Can I just, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Can I brighten can I do tooth whitening? Like I would say the proportion of how many patients seeking that type of treatment, the overnight Hollywood smiles over the last, 15, 17 years that I've been practicing has probably grown exponentially.
Yeah.
Um, and that's a culture thing. And it's one of those feedback loops where it's like the more the culture wants it, the more the industry adapts to that, the more the marketing and industry. So now even more people want that,
That's
you
it.
know. And
That's
it's
it.
this downward spiral where we're not as focused as a profession on health, like you said, longevity, um, and foundational elimination of disease.
Right.
No.
See.
Uh,
So, with that being said, again,
mm,
we both have kids.
yes.
If they came to you and said, Dad, I want to be a dentist, would you tell them to do it? Would you tell them to not do it? Or would you say, sure, be the dentist, but use that to basically buy offices and run multiple companies and so forth and multiple offices and let somebody else do the dentistry part for you? Those are
Right.
your three options. Yep. Be the dentist, be the best dentist you can possibly be. Don't do dentistry at all because it's not worth it. Or do dentistry, but get the title, but run a business.
I would really have to know my kids'
Well,
intentions.
okay,
You know,
you
yeah,
know, put all the politically correct answers aside and think
right,
about it and say you love your kids, so you want the best for them. Point blank,
yeah.
period. You want an
I
easy
would
life.
honestly, I would honestly say, um, be a great dentist. Love dentistry.
Okay.
Don't hyper focus on the business. Um, but if you don't seem to have a genuine passion, avoid it like the plague. Avoid it like the plague because this is and let me tell you this anecdotal story. So
Hmm.
I was working with this doctor yesterday. He was talking about how stressed he was for the first 2 years of owning an office and how every day he just has this layer of stress because in order to make money, he has to pack the schedule. As he's working on one patient, he's hearing either seeing notes or hearing, we got an exam ready, we got a consult ready, the next patient is ready.
That's it.
And he says every time he hears that, he can feel his cortisol levels spike, right? And it's taxing on the body because you're holding these concentric, you know, positions and you got neck problems, back problems.
Hmm.
And he's like, hey, when we're really busy, we make good money. He was like, I don't think it's worth it
Hmm.
because I can't move at the end of the day. I'm drained. He was like, there's days where I just pray, I just go to sleep, and I wouldn't be mad if I didn't wake up.
Mm.
And he's kind of saying that, not as a serious, I guess, admission of
See,
deeper,
I
darker
would have called
thoughts.
some kind of psychiatric and put him in the hospital for a few days.
Right,
But that's my
right.
first reaction. I like to do that to people.
You just
I've
do
done
that to
this.
people.
I
You've
I
done it to your
call
wife a couple
immediately.
times,
I'm like,
right?
listen, I don't know
Right,
if it's true or not, but I just saved your life. You're welcome. You know,
right. But it is
but
one of
it's
those things,
sad.
man. It's sad because people go to school for all these years and you think you have the potential to have a career that you love. You're just helping people. That's how we all started.
That's
As
it.
cheesy as it sounds, we started there. And now a lot of us, especially, well, me and you, we're a little older, a little more seasoned. We've kind of built around the lifestyle. Like we've been through that craziness.
Oh yeah, we've been
Or
miserable. Oh yeah.
we've been
We've
miserable,
questioned
right?
we've questioned our careers big time.
We've
Yeah.
questioned it. But listen,
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, the best thing I did was revamp my career and build it in a way where I work less.
Hmm.
I make less money than I probably could, right? But let me tell you, it, so I'm a chatty guy. So every time I'm in an Uber, I'm always chatting up the Uber driver. You
Hmm.
know, there's a period where every Uber driver bragged about how they were making $15,000 a month driving,
Mm.
and I'd
Uber.
ask him like, well, how many hours are you doing? Oh, well, I do 8 hours in the morning, do an Uber, then I switch to Lyft and I do like another 8 hours. And I'm like, oh, well, you working 20 hours a day. Like, it doesn't matter what your profession is. You can make really good money
If you
if you
work a lot.
literally work every hour
That's
that you're
it.
away.
That's
You know?
it. That's it.
But that's not a way to live. I can't advocate for that.
Right.
Um, so how have you managed? Like, what did you do when you were at that height of misery? Like, what changes did you make in your practice model to to make it better for you?
In all honesty, I got to a point, and this is when I had a conversation with my brother yesterday, and I was like, what matters, right? Is it just trying to make as much money as possible, or is it just trying to kind of figure out what matters in life? And for me, what changed for me was when I had a purpose. When I had a purpose with my kids being born, when I had a purpose with my family and wanted to be around a lot more, right? And so then you realize that okay, I'm working 5, 6 days, and that's what I was doing initially, and it was okay for me when I didn't have a purpose. The purpose for me was being the best dentist, get my name out there, and so forth. But after a while, you start to realize that, is it really worth it? Because I might miss this event. I might miss this with my kids, and I might not be able to go to the Christmas party that they have, and it wasn't worth it to me. And what you said is 100% correct. You take a financial hit, but man, my level of stress has gone down tremendously. I feel
Yes.
like I'm prettier than I was before.
You definitely look pretty today, bro.
I look very pretty today.
You look very pretty.
Thank you. I didn't want to say anything, but I added an accessory.
What? No.
I added an accessory. Most people wouldn't have known if I
I didn't
didn't point it
notice.
out that my accessory has made me prettier. And I can guarantee that because I know somebody in my life who wore the same thing and they were very pretty.
Oh, wait, so you got something on your head?
What are you talking
I
about?
thought I thought it was a halo.
No, no,
I thought it was just the aura because you just glow
bro,
and
this
you're just
is this is
exuding this
an
wonderful energy.
accessory. This is an accessory that my daughter wore, and
Okay.
everybody complimented her on how pretty she
Ah,
looked.
okay.
And vis-a-vis,
Right.
if she
Hence,
looks
hence,
pretty,
therefore,
therefore
right?
after, if she looks pretty, I must also look pretty by
Right.
wearing the same accessory.
Right. Listen, there's enough shine to go around, brother. You look great. You look great.
I'm competing with my child for attention.
Right.
It's the Christmas holiday.
That's the point dentistry has brought you to.
It
That you're
really
like,
has. I'm not competing with other dentists anymore. I don't care about their Porsches. I care about princess attire.
yes. Yes.
It's the wrong P. I don't care about Porsches. I care about princess attire. And
Right.
that's what has made me happy is not understanding that life is life. And I mean, we joke around, and this
Right.
year has been tough for a lot of people. I'll be honest. And we'll wrap it up here. But this year I've noticed a lot more people either getting out of dentistry, working less, or just kind of saying, this is not it.
Right.
And I find that every single year it's getting worse. And a lot of us will blame it on, oh, well, insurance is not reimbursing us. The corporations are taking over. And I find like it's always an excuse, but I think it always comes back to the same thing.
right,
Did you go into this profession expecting it to change your life substantially for people to say, "Oh, you're a doctor? That's amazing."
right,
So the accolades you wanted, all the stuff that comes with it, right? But there's a lot of sacrifice. And were you willing to understand that sacrifice and actually make those sacrifices
right,
and be okay with it because you chose it?
right. Right. You know, and that I think that's where the purist in me gets angry when I see it, where the social media trends and the lifestyle marketing comes to, because these students are going into dentistry now thinking I'm gonna get out and make $1 to $2 million a year.
Right.
I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna take pictures in Ibiza and in the Maldives and all that. That's gonna be my lifestyle,
That's
right?
it.
And not that you can't do that, but there's a hard realism, especially for those of us that are first geners and didn't come from money.
Hmm.
That first 5 to 10 years, boy, you are grinding.
Hmm.
There's insecurity,
Hmm.
there's stress, there's a whole lot of hard work, there's mistakes, there's failures, and
And
we
you're
don't
putting a
see.
lot of that, you're putting a lot of your family's life into your shoulders, like your cousins, your friends, your you feel like you have to not let them down.
Right, 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 and also because people don't know the numbers and they assume that you're this rich dentist because they see the same messages you see.
That's
Oh,
it.
you're a dentist, you must make $1 million a year.
Right.
Okay, well, can I get a handout?
Right. Cut me
You
off
know,
a little bit.
can I borrow some money?
That's it. That's
You
it.
know,
So as the year's wrapped up, 2025 is about to start. What are two or three things that you want to see differently, or you want to see happen in dentistry when it comes to, I don't know, AI, when it comes to how we're marketing, when it comes to what you're seeing in dentistry? What are something that you want to see change in dentistry?
I think across the board, my number one is I want everybody to slow down. This culture of overnight anything, right? You spend 20, 30 years neglecting your health, your oral health, but you want to overnight fix.
That's it.
I am so opposed to that. And you see that it's the American culture, right? All the medications we have are built around, well, let's fix you overnight, or let's give you something so you can just keep doing what you're doing,
Weight loss
right?
drugs and so forth.
Yeah. Which if you need it, you need it. So I'm never going to judge anybody.
Right.
We can always use medications to bridge gaps.
But our
There,
Hollywood stars, do they need it because they have diabetes? Do they need it because they're obese? No, they want to just lose a quick weight.
right.
Yeah.
And so I think that'd be my number one is we need people to invest in themselves. We need doctors to also slow down and advocate what's best for the patient, not what's best for social media,
Their
look at book
pocket.
and all that. How about you?
I want people to take criticism the right way. Let me explain. If somebody, I've noticed all year, if somebody says, "Hey, by the way," and this goes for assistants, front office, hygienists, other dentists, myself, let me tell you a quick story and then we'll wrap it up here. I had a patient a week ago say, "Doc, and I'd worked on him before." He goes, "Man, you are really good at what you do, but your bedside manner deserves a lot to be, has a lot to be desired," is how he put it.
Mm,
And I was like,
okay.
"Okay." And I go, "Okay." And he goes, "Yeah, man, you're really good at what you do, but man, you are blunt." And I was like,
Mm,
"Yeah." And in my mind, I'm thinking I'm doing the right thing, right? I'm thinking
right.
I'm basically just telling you the truth. You do with that truth as you wish. So then I tell my wife, she laughed at first. And then she goes, "Well, have you considered that it's the way you deliver?"
Mhm.
Right? Yes, you're telling the truth. And for you, it's, I told you the truth. Now you do with that as you wish. But she was like, "Well, maybe it's the way you deliver." And then she sent me a meme that said, "I knew for as long as I've been with my husband, I knew he was always right, but I just didn't like the way he delivered it."
I see now. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't
He
like the
didn't
way
like the
I didn't like
tone.
his tone or something like that, right? And I was like, man, so you basically lose the message because people don't like the way you're delivering the message.
Right.
So then it's either we need to find a way to become uh, more efficient speakers, or people need to realize that they messed themselves up and they need to take accountability.
Right.
So that's what I'm actually going to be figuring out this year.
Right.
Is do I need to work on my delivery? Much more than likely I do. But then do people also need to take ownership of what they did? Like you said, 20 years of not going to the dentist and messing everything up in your mouth. You can't then expect me to be like, man, everything looks perfect. How did you do that?
Right. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Right.
gee willikers, You'll never hear that from most people because this
Right.
happened. You have bacteria in your mouth that are
Mm-hmm.
waiting for you to slip up.
Mm-hmm.
So I say this, we both, I think society in general needs to be less sensitive to criticism. But I think as dentists, and I'll speak for myself, I need to figure out how to be more sensitive to people and to society's level of sensitivity, if that makes any sense. Does that make
Well,
sense?
at least
I feel like
American
I just kept
society,
saying
because
sense.
right, because my African brothers and sisters are known for being blunt,
Okay,
right?
well, one. I feel like
Right.
any foreign, I know
Yeah,
Indians, I know
right.
Asians that are very blunt too. I think
Very
any
blunt.
foreigner,
So it might be part of your cultural upbringing where 'cause I've
maybe.
always known you to kind of like when we first saw each other in person, right? And
Yeah,
maybe it's what you're saying.
right.
And you were like, damn, Leroy, you are the most handsome man I've ever
I've
seen.
never once said
That
that.
was blunt.
That
And I appreciated that. I
I
appreciated that. It was so blunt, you know? You
You
know? That
remember the delusion that we were talking about? There it is. I want. It's amazing how we can remember history so differently.
distinctly, like that's seared into my brain because it
I
made me
appreciate
feel
that.
so good,
I appreciate
Yeah.
that. And the honesty that you just exude is just it's amazing.
Well, you're my brother, man. If I can't be honest with you, who can I be honest with?
Very true.
Right?
And if this is honesty, I swear to God. No, but we joke around, but you're right, man. I think for me, my goal this year is to try to figure out how to deliver messages a lot better because I
Mm.
have to take that into consideration, right? There are a lot, and my assistant was like, "Well, doc, well, don't listen to him because there are so many patients that really appreciate the way you deliver and the way you're honest with them and so forth." I'm like, "No, he brought it up, and
Mhm.
he had the balls to bring it up for a reason.
Right.
It's something that he felt he had to tell me, so
Yeah.
I can't ignore it. Was it fun to hear? No, but I have to take that into consideration and say, okay, so how do I deliver a message that is going to benefit the person to take action?
Right.
And that's what I have to do. So
No,
for
and
me,
that's a
that's my New
challenge.
Year's resolution.
That's a challenge. As I've fought with that, I've kind of learned this pattern of I'll front load a positive statement before I deliver negative news.
Mm,
Mrs. Jones, I want to commend you because this is your third time here. That shows a real big commitment on your
mhm.
part. And let me tell you what I'm seeing now, this second, this reevaluation and how we can work together to, achieve what we want. And that
Okay.
way, like you do start with positive. It's buttering them up, not in a manipulative way, but
Right.
in a way that I feel that empowers them. Because at some point, also, if every time I see you, well, you tell me my mouth is horrendous, you may not want, I just it's a physical reaction. Like, damn, I gotta go
That's
see
true.
Walt. I'm gonna leave feeling like crap again.
That is true. That is true.
You know?
That is true. So no, you're right. You're right. And so that's my New Year's resolution. What's your New Year's resolution?
Okay.
And we'll wrap it up here.
Honestly, along those same lines, I've been hearing a lot of criticism of me coming off as either sending or know-it-all. And I think part of it is my personality type. And I think I need to work on, not everything has to be a correction or a debate or an opinion. Sometimes I just got to listen,
Mm,
and it is not a bad intention with me. I'm just trying to participate because if someone says something, I'm like, oh, well, I actually think it's this. You know, you know what you're saying, but I'm pretty sure it's this.
Yeah,
And at some point, you're like, all right, bro, like, we get it.
that's it.
You got an opinion.
That's it.
You know, I was just trying to talk to you. So
Right.
I think I do gotta be better at just listening. That's my resolution.
We will make sure that it happens. And we'll see what happens. Next year, we'll probably be sitting there like, man, I need to go ahead and start delivering this message a lot better. After a month, I'm probably going to fall off the wagon, and then I'm going to go back to what the hell were you thinking?
Right.
So I hope that that's not the case, and I do learn and grow. But yeah, man.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
Hey, enjoy. I hope anybody that was watching this was not overly distracted by my accessory. I I don't know why you would be.
But I think it highlights and accentuates your features, brother.
Thank
Wear it
you.
with wear it with pride.
Oh,
A whole lot of pride.
a lot of colorful pride
Yeah.
will be exuded. A
Yes.
lot of different colors on
Yeah.
a we'll call it a rainbow of colors.
Which are very emblematic of who you are.
I didn't want to for me, I accept the level and I'm a very colorful person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you say that a rainbow of colors is who I am,
Yes.
I think, well, thank you. Because I have learned to accept my colorful behavior and colorful
Right.
attitude
See,
and
but
personality.
the only question cause I feel like I'm
Mm, mm,
as this is
mm-hmm.
being as all this is coming out,
Oh,
which is
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
as all this
I
is
hear where you're
coming
going
out.
with that. It's almost
I,
like I went into my closet and brought out the best
the best of you.
accessory
Yes.
that I could have. Go ahead. Go
And
ahead,
now
brother.
that you're out
Uh-huh.
of
Uh-huh.
said
From the
closet,
closet that I brought out
yes,
my got it. Mm-hmm,
I would have to express that I'm a little offended
mm-hmm.
because I don't feel like you've ever tried anything.
Mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Not that necessarily I would,
mm-hmm,
accept, but
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I almost feel like that's a statement
mm-hmm.
against me
So are you
because
insinuating that you would want me to help you also go into the closet and come out with the accessories needed to excel in life?
not per se,
Mm, mm,
not per
mm,
se,
mm,
but I would like to be on an option
mm, 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 mm,
because I feel like I'm a decent option,
mm.
but you've never presented me as an option, and that kind of
Uh-huh.
offends me a little bit. Like,
I hear. You
what
know,
is it?
I think you're making it about yourself.
Okay.
Instead of making it about me
Mm,
coming out to the world on a very colorful median,
right.
you want it to be about you. Brother, you need to grow. You need to realize that your 2025 resolution should be how do I put others ahead of yourself?
New Year's resolution.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So
New year, new me.
I'm going to go and, as they say, go be fruitful with my options, and and I'm going to be very colorful and animated, and you could even say zesty with my behavior.
I
Mm-hmm,
that's probably a descriptive word that
mm-hmm,
I've
mm-hmm,
always thought since we've met.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I was like, if there's ever something that just really sums up my friend Walt,
Mm.
he just has a zest for life, and I would call him a zesty person.
Why didn't I think of that? I would actually add on to that and say I am somebody who is very bi curious to know what others think of me.
Well, listen,
Mm.
when we post this, we're gonna have to do a poll. Okay.
Mhm.
It'll just it'll be a zest off.
You
Okay.
know,
And we'll picture me with my
uh-huh.
Santa hat,
Uh-huh.
and we'll
Uh-huh.
picture you with your
Right, right.
accessory,
You know,
and we'll see what the world thinks.
I just want the world to see me as a Homo sapien
Uh, just
because we
became
always have to
free.
go back to the origin.
Right.
Homo sapien. That's it. We have to go
Yeah.
back to simplistic times, brother.
Mm, to the
When we
origins.
because we are Homo sapiens.
Hmm.
So we have to go back to being homos
Why
sapiens.
you definitely are. I will give you that.
Come on.
I cannot argue with that.
Thank you.
100%.
Homo erectus was previous. And sometimes I'm Homo erectus, Homo sapien. I don't know yet. But I'm going to stick to Homo. And
I
then I will pause and think about which way I want to go. But I'm always going to be Homo first and then sapien,
sapiens. Erectus.
rectus.
Right.
I think you should embrace this too, man.
This just speaks to the level of our immaturity because we spent 10 minutes trying to drag this up.
We we will talk later.
Well, listen, everybody, happy
Hey,
holidays.
that's it.
Happy New Year. We love
Enjoy.
everybody. We
All
got
right, man.
jokes. All right, man.
All right, brother. Enjoy. Thank you for listening to this episode of Truth Be Told. The opinions on this episode are just that, our opinions. Please consult your dental professional before taking any action with your dental health. If you have any questions about anything you heard on this episode, please contact us at Real Dentist with an S. That's REAL Dentist with an S at gmail.com. We would be very happy to return any message that we receive because we love the communication that we have with our listeners.